I owe you guys a giant thank you because you made my last GTA guide my most successful video to date. With nearly 2 million views and counting, I'm absolutely blown away. But with all of that being said, there was still one problem with it that was pointed out time and time again. Considering all of the most profitable methods I discussed in that video required more than one person, it really only benefited those with a dedicated crew. But what if you prefer to play alone or your friends just aren't around? In other words, I left you solo players hanging, but today I have an answer. In this video, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to go from $0 to millions as fast as possible and without having to rely on anybody else. So grab your favorite beverage, some popcorn maybe, and get ready to sit back, relax, and enjoy because this is gonna be a long one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game Sauce. If you watched the original 0 to Millions video, the same format is going to apply here. I've again broken up the guide into 5 different stages, and each will be dedicated to obtaining the funds for a specific property purchase that will unlock various content to be used in the next stage. That being said, I want you guys to know that this is going to be a standalone video and not an extension of the last one. What I mean by that is there's going to be some repeated information that overlaps between the two videos, especially in the earlier stages. But just like last time, if you're not a brand new player, I've got timestamps in the description so that you can skip over things that you might have already completed. Finally, before we begin, just know that GTA Online definitely favors team play when it comes to making money. So if you ride solo, it's going to be a lot more difficult and time consuming, but it can still be done. So just keep that in mind and let's get into it. So you just loaded into GTA Online for the first time and have no idea where to begin. Your first goal should be to start yourself a business venture with your very own CEO office. The cheapest office is Maze Bank West, which costs $1 million, so that's what we're going to be aiming for. And just so you know, when you do go ahead and purchase this office, the game is going to prompt you to buy all kinds of upgrades for it and a cargo warehouse. But at this point, I would urge you not to because you can always go back and do this later if you so desire when making cash is a bit easier. So how are we going to make money in this stage? First, let's talk about competitive modes. You know, things like races, team deathmatches, last team standings, etc. Now, if you're like me and completely suck at any kind of competitive game, you're not going to make very much money at all doing this since you really must be on the winning end for it to be worth your time. But for those of you that are great at that sort of thing, I'm really jealous. Like, do you know how much easier this YouTube thing would be if I could just upload Let's Plays of me constantly winning PUBG matches? Okay, we're getting a little off topic here. The point is, you've got to be good at these competitive modes to make any substantial money at all, and get lucky enough to find yourself a match with more than like 4 people in it. Next up, we have contact missions. Now, there are a ton of these and they're all different. If I were to go over all of them in detail, we'd be here all day. So to spare you of that, I'm going to link a really good Reddit post in the description that breaks down the best ones to do based on their payouts and durations, so be sure to check that out. One thing to take note of is that not every contact mission can be done solo. Some require more than one person, but you'll still be able to do the majority of them on your own. That being said, I highly encourage you to set the difficulty to hard whenever you do one of these missions because doing so will get you 50% more cash. Okay, so something I neglected to show in my last video, admittedly because I just didn't really know anything about it, is Flight School. This is unlocked at level 6 and requires you to go to the plane icon on your map at the Los Santos International Airport. This will put you through a series of flying challenges such as flying through checkpoints, landing as close to a target as possible, etc. You're going to be awarded either a bronze, silver, or gold medal when you complete a challenge, which is based off of how well you did. If you get gold on all the challenges, you'll get around $230,000, which makes this a pretty good option. However, let me be the first to tell you these challenges get pretty hard. Maybe I'm just a bad pilot, but these frustrated the hell out of me when I was doing them, especially this one. Yeah, this one. And now let's move on to my absolute favorite money-making method to this day. Longtime subscribers of this channel know exactly what I'm about to say. VIP missions. That's right, these things are awesome, and now Rockstar has made it even more accessible than ever. All you need is $50,000 in your bank account in order to register as a VIP from the interaction menu. But don't worry, you don't actually spend this money, you just have to have it in your account. Back in the day, you used to have $1 million in your account, so it's pretty awesome that they changed it. When you register as a VIP, you will have access to VIP missions for 4 hours at a time. Once those 4 hours are up, you'll have a 12-hour cooldown, which honestly kind of sucks, but it's still well worth doing. These missions are easy, fast, and very profitable. They also take place in free roam, so there's no loading screens to go through or anything like that. You can even do them in an invite-only session, so you don't have to worry about griefers blowing you to smithereens constantly and ruining your progress. The two missions that I recommend the most are called Headhunter and Sightseer. Once you start up Headhunter, 4 targets will show up on your map and you have to go kill them. That's it. The locations are random, so every time you do this mission, it will likely be different. Sometimes the target is in a car and sometimes they're stationary. The cool thing about this is you more often than not don't even have to leave your car to complete this mission. As long as you have an SMG, just fire out your windows and you're good to go. Sightseer, on the other hand, is even simpler. In fact, there's no contact whatsoever. All you have to do is load up a simple minigame on your phone which will reveal the location of a package on your map. Grab 3 packages and the mission is complete. It's as easy as that. Both these missions pay between $21,000 and $25,000 depending on how fast you do them, and they can often be completed in 5 minutes or less. In my opinion, this is your best option at this stage of the game. Now, while you could do all this stuff that I previously mentioned without spending anything at all, here's a couple of things you might want to consider buying to make your life just a little bit easier. First, get yourself an apartment. This will give you a garage and a spawn point, and since we're not concerned with doing heists as this is a solo guide, any apartment will do. That means you don't necessarily have to get a high-end one, but doing so will give you a bigger garage than all the rest, so that's something to keep in mind. You might also want to get yourself a vehicle or two. If you're really looking to save money, get the Elegy RH8. It's free for all players and is still one of the fastest cars in the sports class. It'll definitely come in handy now, and you can always get rid of it later if you're not a big fan. Otherwise, I highly recommend getting an armored car, which is going to help you immensely in missions of any kind, especially VIP missions. An armored car will leave you pretty much invincible against NPCs since they don't use explosives. My favorite one is called the Armored Kuruma. This thing is kind of expensive at just under $700,000, but it's well worth it in my opinion. And in the chance that you completed the first heist, you'll actually be able to get it at a discounted price of $525,000. My second choice would be the Duco Death, which if you played GTA Online with the same social club account on either PS3 or Xbox 360 back in the day, this car will be available to you for free since you are considered a returning player, which is awesome. It's not as agile as the Kuruma, but provides similar protection, and I mean, for free, it can't really be beat. So you got yourself an apartment and you're now a CEO. Congrats, because you're now one step closer to making the big bucks. The goal of stage 2 is to get yourself a vehicle warehouse. The cheapest one you can buy via your office computer is the La Mesa vehicle warehouse, which costs $1.5 million. Again, when you go and buy it, it's gonna prompt you to get some upgrades, but these are all purely cosmetic and you can always go back and buy them later. So what can you do for money in this stage? Well, everything you did in the last stage. There's actually nothing new you can do at this point. But Game Sauce, why the f did you make me get an office then? Well, 2 reasons actually. It's kind of required for the next stage and the last one, so that's the main part, but becoming a CEO essentially means you are a permanent VIP. You no longer have that dumb 4-hour limit or 12-hour cooldown when running VIP missions, so if you don't mind it, you could just endlessly grind the 2 I mentioned earlier and get yourself to stage 3 no problem. Obviously, all the other methods I described in the last stage will still apply here as well if you're looking for some variety. Well, this stage was pretty easy, but I'll leave you with a vehicle recommendation that will save you a ton of time. It might seem weird for me to recommend it here because it actually costs more than what's required for the next stage, but getting yourself a Buzzard is probably the best purchase you will ever make in this game. It costs $1.75 million, but trust me, it's worth every penny. It's small and to this day remains one of the fastest vehicles in the game, but the best part is just how deadly it is. It's equipped with homing rockets and a machine gun, which will make Headhunter, for instance, an absolute breeze. To be fair, you can use this thing in pretty much any mission you do, and it will make you so much more efficient. The Buzzard is considered a CEO vehicle, so you can spawn it from the interaction menu wherever you want, and it's not like a Pegasus vehicle where you have to go retrieve it at a specified location. It'll just spawn right next to you wherever you are, which is amazing. So you got yourself a vehicle warehouse, but where are we going from here? Your next goal is to become a motorcycle club president by buying a clubhouse and a business, which will cost you a minimum of $1,175,000. The cheapest motorcycle clubhouse is the Great Chaparral Clubhouse, or however you say it, which costs $200,000. After you got a clubhouse, you also need to buy a business. The best business you can get, in my opinion, is the cocaine lockup. And now that I said cocaine, there goes my monetization. Anyway, the cocaine lockups are the most profitable business, but they also cost the most right off the bat, which is the one downside. In any case, go for the cheapest one, the Alamo C cocaine lockup, which costs $975,000. Once you do that, you'll notice it's right down the street, which is pretty convenient. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the new way we can make money in this stage. Since you now own a vehicle warehouse, you have access to import and export missions. This basically allows you to steal cars, modify them, and sell them for a profit. Unlike VIP missions, these have to be done in a public lobby. Once you steal or start selling a vehicle, everyone in the game will be notified of what you're doing and prompted to come kill you. And most of the time, this will happen. It's incredibly annoying, but there is an easy way around it. You can get yourself into a public session where you're the only one in it. This is commonly called a solo public session in the GTA community. Creating one of these is actually pretty easy and can be done on any platform. There's tons of tutorials out there on how to do this, and I've actually made quite a bit of them myself, which I'll link down below in the description. There's two types of missions we're going to be doing here: import missions and export missions. Pretty self-explanatory. Sourcing a vehicle via your office computer will begin an import mission. A car will be displayed on your map and you need to go steal it. Pretty simple. There's 3 tiers of cars that you'll be asked to steal: standard, mid-range, and top range, and this is the profit you can expect to get from each tier. As you can see, top range is clearly the best. However, when you source a vehicle, the tier you get is completely random unless you know how to cheat the system. There's a way to make it so that the game will only give you top range vehicles, but it takes quite a bit of time to set up, so you have to take that into account. There's 32 different models of cars you can import. 10 of those are standard, 10 mid-range, and 12 top range. If you collect all the standard and mid-range cars and keep them in your warehouse, the game will only give you the cars that you're missing, which in this case will be the 12 top range. So to do this effectively, all you need to do is never sell any car less than top range. Eventually your warehouse will fill up with all standard and mid-ranges, and you'll only be able to source top range from then on, which is pretty cool. Now, something to keep in mind about import missions while we're on the subject is that when you're stealing a car, you want to drive as safely as possible, because any damage the car takes will be displayed on screen, and that money will come out of your own pocket and lower the total profit you'll receive when you sell it. When you are in fact ready to sell a car, you can do so via the computer in your warehouse, which will begin an export mission. You'll notice that there are a couple of sell options, but you always want to sell to the specialist dealer because it'll make you the most profit. This will force you to deliver the car to a farther away location, but as long as you're in a solo public session like I mentioned earlier, that won't even matter. All you have to do is drive the car to the location that gets put on your map. It's pretty simple, but again, drive carefully because just like the import missions, you'll have to pay for any of the damage that the car takes. Importing and exporting is probably the best thing you can do solo, since just 2 quick and easy steal and sell missions can make you up to $80,000, if you get a top range vehicle, of course. So you bought yourself a clubhouse, a cocaine lockup, and have officially become a motorcycle club president. This is going to allow you to make some pretty good money without having to do much work at all, but it's also one of the most confusing game mechanics to understand, and I'm going to try my best to explain it as clearly as possible. But let's first talk about what we're trying to accomplish in this stage. Our next goal is to purchase a bunker, which will require at least $1,165,000. The cheapest bunker you can buy is the one in Paleto Forest. However, it's again very far away from the city, which is likely going to cause you some headaches in the future. I definitely recommend you get one that's closer, but unlike the motorcycle clubhouses, bunkers get significantly more expensive the closer you get to the city. Personally, I went with the Chumash bunker, again, or however you say it, which is a much better location, but it's going to cost you nearly $500,000 more at $1,650,000. You'll definitely have to decide if that's worth it to you. Just like with everything else, you don't need to get any of the upgrades that it prompts you to buy right now, because you can always go back and get them later. Alright, but getting back to this stage, we're going to be making our money with the biker businesses. There's 5 different kinds, but I had you get the cocaine lockup because it's the most profitable. But how does it work? You'll be required to obtain supplies that will be consumed by the business in order to make product. Once the product is made, you'll then be able to sell it for a pretty significant amount of money. First off, there's two ways you can obtain supplies, both of which are initiated from the laptop in your business. You can steal the supplies, which will begin a mission, or you can buy the supplies. My recommendation is to always buy the supplies. Now I know what you're thinking, won't I lose money? The answer to that is yes and no. Buying supplies saves you a ton of time since it'll fill up your entire supply bar for only $75,000. If you were to steal the supplies, you'd have to do between 6 and 8 steal missions to do the same thing, and these missions can take quite a bit of time. You'll often have to go steal a slow-ass van or something from the other side of the map and drive it all the way back to your business, which can take ages. Buying the supplies allows you the option to go make money elsewhere while you're waiting for your product to be made. Doing only 3 VIP missions or selling just one top-range car will make your money back real quick. Most of this stage is just playing the waiting game since the cocaine lockup will take between 5 and 8 hours to fill up depending on how many upgrades you have. I'll talk more about upgrades in a little bit, but keep in mind that the time I just mentioned only counts when you are playing GTA Online. Don't expect to go offline and come back the next day to a full business. It'll just pick up where it left off the last time you were online. That's definitely a lot of playtime, but there's nothing you need to do other than keep your business stocked with supplies. So feel free to do VIP missions or sell vehicle cargo while you're waiting, and this will just do its thing and generate you some nice passive income in the background. So let's say you're ready to sell. A full cocaine lockup will make you between $300,000 and $420,000, again depending on the upgrades. You're gonna have two options when you're about to sell, selling locally and selling remotely. You're pretty much always going to want to choose remotely considering it's going to make you significantly more money, but doing so is going to make you have to deliver to a much farther away location, usually all the way across the map. The product from a full business will be split up amongst 3 to 4 vehicles which all have to be delivered to the same location. This was definitely not intended to be done solo, but you're allowed 30 minutes to do it. Just like import and export, this needs to be done in a public session so that Rockstar can notify everyone to come and kill you. I believe it even shows all the vehicles on the map, so while you're delivering one, the other 3 are just sitting ducks. Doing this in a solo public session is absolutely vital. Now I know what you're thinking, transporting 3 or 4 vehicles in 30 minutes sounds like a piece of cake, but I'm gonna tell you that it isn't always as easy as it may seem. It all depends on what vehicles you get for the mission, which is completely random. Some can be done no problem, like if you're lucky enough to get 4 motorcycles, but if you end up with 3 garbage trucks or mail vans, it's nearly impossible to do by yourself. They're just too damn slow. This leaves you with a choice: sell when your business is partially full or take the chance and sell the whole thing. Personally, I'd say it's a much better idea to sell when it's partially full and only get 1 or 2 vehicles to deliver. Luckily, there's no disadvantage to doing this because your business fills up at a flat rate. In other words, you don't receive any bonus cash for selling more at once. In my experience, the sweet spot to sell at is between 1.5 and 2.5 bars. Usually 1.5 bars is the highest you can go without getting more than 1 vehicle, and 2.5 is the highest you can go without getting more than 2 vehicles. Usually I like to do 1 vehicle sales, but it's totally up to you. That being said, if you want to just take the chance and sell a full lockup, there's a couple of things you should know. If you get bad vehicles like the garbage trucks for instance, you can just join a new session and start the sell mission over again. Since the vehicles you get is chosen randomly, most of the time you'll have different ones when you start it up again. Also, if you aren't able to deliver all the vehicles in the 30 minutes you are allowed, you'll still get the money for what you did deliver. So if you deliver 3 of 4 vehicles, you get 75% of the cash. You get the idea. Now I realize I just threw a ton of information at you and I imagine it probably all seems very confusing. But trust me, once you start playing and do it all yourself, it will make a lot more sense. So in the last stage I didn't have any extra purchases to recommend to you, but this time there's quite a few. The biggest thing you're going to want to get is upgrades, which I mentioned earlier. There are 3 upgrades for your business: staff, equipment, and security. The staff and equipment upgrades will increase the speed at which your product is made, how much supplies it requires, and how much you can sell it for. Those 2 are definitely must-haves. The security upgrade, on the other hand, only affects the safety of your product, and for that reason, I think you can do without it as long as you pay attention in-game. Your business can get raided from time to time, and you'll be notified when this is happening. As long as you get there in time and stop the raid, you'll be fine. But if you fail to do so or die in the process, you will lose all of your product. If you get the security upgrade, you won't have to worry about this, but I don't know if that justifies the price. Getting all the business upgrades will cost you another $1,890,000 or $1,320,000 if you do without the security upgrade. The next thing that I'd recommend getting yourself is a fast bike. The Body 801 is a great choice because it only costs $15,000. This will significantly help you get back to your business quickly if you do decide to do sell missions with more than one vehicle. This thing is faster than any car anywhere near its price range, and you can easily weave through cars on the road since it's so small. I'm sure if you own the Buzzard, you'd think it would be a better idea to use that, but you won't be able to spawn it from the interaction menu because you're not registered as a CEO when you're doing biker missions, so your only option is to get it from Pegasus and go pick it up wherever the hell they decide to spawn it. In my experience, it's a lot faster to drive back on a fast bike than go drive to your helicopter and then fly back. I mean, as long as you don't crash a lot. The last thing that you should consider buying is more businesses. Yes, you can have more than one business, but you can only have one of each type, so you can't have two cocaine lockups, unfortunately. All of them have different prices, production times, and payouts, so you'll have to do some of your own research there. I'll link this really good spreadsheet I found in the description that lists a ton of details about each, including how long it'll take you before you make your money back, which is really nice. So definitely check that out. Just a fair warning though, if you have multiple businesses, it can kind of be hard to manage all of them at times, so just keep that in mind. But you can make some serious cash if you can keep up with all of them. Congrats on making it to the final stage, guys. If you followed everything in this video up until here, I would not doubt that it's taken you a very long time to get this far. It requires some serious dedication. Now that you own a bunker, you can take advantage of gun running. This works very similarly to the biker businesses with a couple of differences. Firstly, you don't have to buy a separate business this time. The bunker works as a business in and of itself, which is nice. In addition to manufacturing guns, you'll also be able to perform research. Researching will allow you to use your staff and supplies to unlock things like weapon skins and vehicle mods over time. You can choose to split your staff up to perform manufacturing and research at the same time, or go all in on one or the other. For the sake of this video, which is a money-making guide, I'm not going to be covering research any further, and all the rest of the information I will give you will be under the assumption that you have set your bunker staff to only manufacturing. Just like biker businesses, you have to obtain supplies, wait for the guns to be manufactured, and then sell them. Obtaining supplies works the same way. You can steal them or buy them for $75,000. Again, it's just better to buy them than waste your time doing the resupply missions. This time around, the bunker will take a whopping 12 to 17 hours to fill up completely, depending on your upgrades. Just like before, this will only count while you are playing, but it's well worth it for the amount of money you get. A full bunker sells for $750,000 or $1,050,000 with all the upgrades. You have the same two sell options, local and remote, and again I recommend selling remotely for the highest profit. Guns will be split up amongst 3 to 4 vehicles, but Rockstar really decided to slap the solo players in the face this time around because they slashed the delivery time in half. Now you only get 15 minutes to sell. This makes it literally impossible to sell an entire thing by yourself, so you're forced to settle for one vehicle because 2 is going to be cutting it close even. To ensure that you only get one vehicle, you don't want your stock to go above quarter of the bar. You'll notice that unlike the biker businesses, there's just one bar instead of 5, so it can kind of be hard to tell when you're at exactly a quarter of the way. To help you better visualize this, a quarter of the bar is when it displays $125,000 with no upgrades or $175,000 with upgrades. As long as you don't let it go over that price, you're guaranteed only one vehicle. Beyond that, the sell mission is exactly the same as the biker businesses. So now let's talk upgrades real quick. You've got the same 3 important ones: staff, equipment, and security. Just like before, the staff and equipment are vital if you want to produce the maximum amount of cash. Security is just for protection, and I think you can get away without it as long as you pay attention. All the upgrades will set you back $2,104,500 or $1,753,500 without security. I really wonder why they went with such obscure numbers this time around, but I don't know, we'll never know. So that's it, guys. That's all the stuff you need to know to get rich in GTA Online all by yourself. It will undoubtedly take you a pretty long time to get through all 5 stages, but once you do and you've got the system in place, you'll be able to purchase anything you want. Just like my last 0 to Millions guide, this video took a ridiculously long time to make, so if you enjoyed it, please give this video a like because it helps us YouTubers out more than you can imagine. Before I end the video, I have a couple of announcements I want to make. First of all, I've got some requests, believe it or not, to start offering Game Sauce branded merch for some reason, so I'm happy to inform you that I've created a couple of shirt designs which are now available on Amazon, of all places, which is super cool. They're even Amazon Prime eligible, so go ahead and check those out if you want to help support this channel. Links will be in the description. If they end up doing well, I'll even come up with some more designs in the future, so stay tuned for that, I guess. Also in the news. Up until this point, I haven't really taken social media very seriously, but I'd like to start doing so now that this channel is getting bigger. It would just be a lot easier way to communicate with you guys because I'm not able to read all the comments on my videos anymore, unfortunately. There's just too many. For that reason, I've created a couple of social media accounts that you guys can come follow me on if you wish. The links will again be in, you know where to find them. I'm even going to be giving away a whale shark card, you know, one of the $3.5 million ones, on March 10th to one of my Twitter followers as a shameless incentive to get people to follow me. Don't worry, this isn't some bullshit fake giveaway like all the other GTA YouTubers like to do. I'm not an asshole like that. This is totally 100% real, I promise. And to be fair, you've got a pretty good chance of winning, considering right now I only have 6 followers. I'll also try and come up with something to do for the first person to tweet me a picture of them wearing one of my shirts, so stay tuned for that surprise. Either way, guys, I'd like to thank you again for taking the time to watch this very long video. I really hope it was helpful to you. Thank you again for all the support, and I'll catch you in the next one.